Hello, I'm Chris.
I'm Dave.
We're from Status Effect Games, and we're showing a tutorial video today for our game, Cit Hustle.
Cit Hustle? What's that?
It's the card game you see right here. Cit Hustle is a card game where players take a journey into the underworld of a crime-ridden city. Players will assume the role of a handler.
What does a handler do?
Okay, all right. A handler is like a go-between. They take money from the gangland boss and pay a hitman to do a job. All right?
Makes sense.
Okay, glad it makes sense. The players will recruit hitmen and as well as mob bosses, collect coins, and assign targets for their hitmen to whack. Every time they whack a rival crime boss, they get victory points, and the first player to 15 victory points wins. So let's take a closer look at how to play Cit Hustle. Okay, so let's go over how to set up Cit Hustle. It's super easy and quick setup. You need to shuffle all the cards together to form a single deck, and then deal 3 cards face down to each player. At this point, players can look at their cards, but they should never show them to any of the other players. After you deal the players their hands, deal 9 cards in the center of your table here, and line them up 3 by 3 to form a square. Also, players start with 2 coins each from the bank, and just keep those close by. And after everyone has selected how they want to lay out their hand, you pick 2 cards to put in the front. These are your active cards. That's where all the action is going to be happening. And then the 3rd card you put face down behind the 2 active cards, as in an area we call the safe house. It is a reserve card that we'll cover later. Let's examine the cards. There are only 2 kinds in Cit Hustle, which makes it really simple to understand and teach other people. There is a client, which has a green border here, and they all have names and label client and their value. And there is a hitman, and those have their name outlined in red, and clearly says hitman there, and their value in the upper right hand corner as well. The clients in Cit Hustle collect coins. They give you your income from the bank and allow you to do other actions with those coins. So they're very useful for that. They also provide the victory points. So when you whack somebody else's client using your hitman, you collect that client, and that is the victory points you need to win the game. Both the clients and hitmen are very simple because they have instructions right on the card that will detail everything they can do. Not only their basic function, but also special rules if they have any. The hitmen are in the game just to whack rival clients. They're your muscle. They do all the attacking. Their value is very important. It's up on the upper right hand corner of each card. And again, there's very basic instructions underneath of their function and how many coins you have to pay them to do a job. As well as special rules underneath that. So let's go over the basic game turn. Every turn, each player will have 2 actions that they can do from a list of several different possibilities. The first possible action is collecting coins from a client card. So to collect coins from a client, you declare which card you'll be collecting from. You have to pick one of your 2 active cards. Put the coins down on the card you want to use, and you're declaring basically how many coins you'll be collecting. So in this case, Dave is saying I'll collect 3 coins from this client card. At this point, all the other players in clockwise fashion will get the opportunity to decide whether they believe Dave is bluffing or not, and we'll show you how that works later. But for right now, we'll say that Dave isn't bluffing. He'll collect his 3 coins, so he takes them off the card and puts them in his own personal stash. And that's how you collect coins. Couldn't be simpler. So the second possible action is declaring a hit. Take coins from your own personal stash and put them on the card you're declaring as your hitman. In this case, Dave is declaring that he has a hitman of value 3 right over here. And then select a target from the field or your opponent's hand that you want to attack. Again, everybody gets an opportunity to call a bluff if they think Dave is bluffing. If not, we flip over the intended target. In this case, it is a 3 client. So since his hitman attacked with a value of 3, he has enough power to defeat that client. The coins that he pays goes back into the bank, and we put a new card out to replace the card that was whacked. And now Dave suddenly has 3 victory points, so he's doing good. The next possible action we're going to cover is collecting intel. Now, since Hit City Hustle is played like this and most of the cards are face down, it's important to figure out where valuable cards are that you might want to recruit, or important valuable targets are that you can whack to collect victory points. So to collect intel, you simply declare that you're collecting intel and select a card either from the field or even another player's hand. Take a look, don't show anybody else. That information is just for the player whose turn it is. And put it back exactly where you got it. And now you know what that card is. There is a memory aspect to Hit City Hustle. You're going to want to try to remember where everything good is and wherever all the bad cards are that you don't necessarily want. And that will help you build a strategy for how you want to get more victory points. So the next action we want to cover is rearranging cards. This helps you move your assets, your clients, and your hitmen, and putting them in position, taking them out of the safe house so they can do an action, or putting them back in the safe house to protect them from other opponents' hitmen. So in this case, Dave's going to take his safe house card, move it up to the active area. So he has moved a card back into his safe house, and that's one action there. Another possibility is actually to discard and then draw. So if you don't like one of your cards in your hand, you can discard it as one of your actions. And then draw a new card blind off the top of the deck. This is one action and gets you something new for your hand. Finally, you can swap cards as an action with the field. So you can choose a card from your hand on your turn and swap it with the field as one action. This is a really interesting tactic because it not only lets you remove something you might not want from your hand, but allows you to see what was out in the field, gives you a little bit of information, and now you know what you put and where. And it's something we do very often in Hit City to move pieces around on the board to develop a strategy. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the basics. Let's cover bluffing in Hit City Hustle. Because the game is played with most of the cards face down on the table, there's an opportunity to bluff in almost all of your actions. Bluffing is very important to Hit City Hustle. It gives a lot of opportunities for winning strategies, even if you don't have a really good hand of cards. So on your turn, when you're collecting coins, you can bluff and collect more than the value of the client, as stated on the rules that are printed on the card. So in this case, Dave is declaring that he has a level 4 client. He's going to collect 4 coins. All of the other players at the table can take this opportunity to call him on his action and say that he's bluffing. Let's say we don't do that right now, and Dave can collect the 4 coins because nobody called his bluff. And Dave, why don't you show everybody if you're bluffing or not? So in this case, Dave actually had a 3 client. He squeezed an extra coin out of the client because he was bluffing. And since nobody called his bluff, the action proceeds, and he never has to actually reveal his card. We just did that for the video. So nobody at the table will even know if he did it or not. You can also bluff on your turn using a hitman. If you have a low value hitman and you want to pretend they're a better value, simply pay the hitman the value you wish they were, and hopefully nobody will call your bluff. So in this case, Dave is declaring that he has a hitman with a value of 3, and that he's going to point out his target then. And once he does that, before we do anything else, again, we go around the table and everybody can decide whether they want to pay a coin to call his bluff. You do have to pay 1 coin to call a bluff, so it is something that people may hesitate to do. But I'm going to go ahead. I don't believe Dave. I'm going to pay my coin to the bank. And at this point, since I paid to call his bluff, he has to reveal what he has. In this case, he has only a level 2 hitman. So without even revealing anything else, the action fails. He loses his coins. Since I called a bluff successively, I do collect coins from the bank, and that incentivizes people to call out the other players too. Even if you're hesitating or you have a player that you know is really good at bluffing, you still might want to take the chance, because if you call it correctly, you do get 3 coins out of the deal. But here, since Dave bluffed, I collect coins, and he's out his action because he was bluffing. Good?
Because he's a filthy liar.
Okay, we went over all the basics. So play proceeds clockwise. Every player gets their 2 actions, collect coins, collect clients and victory points. Once we reach 10 victory points, though, any player that reaches 10 victory points attracts the attention of the cops. Your underworld operation has become too big, and now you have the heat on you. So at the beginning of a player's turn, if they have 10 victory points or more, we have this policeman pawn. They have a decision to make before they do anything else, and that is whether or not they want to bribe the police to divert their attention. So if they want to do that, they spend 1 coin and throw it back to the bank, and then there's no penalty for that turn. If they can't pay the coin because they have no money, or they simply don't want to, the player to their left would choose which of their cards to put the policeman pawn on. We'll use this one here, and now that card is not usable for this turn. You can't swap it out, can't discard it, and can't use any of the client or hitman abilities you would normally be able to do with that card until the beginning of your next turn. And then you can decide again whether or not to pay the police with a bribe or not. So this late game penalty is a really great feature of our game because it tightens up the game. It allows players who might be a little bit behind to catch up, and it prevents a runaway victory by somebody who might have gotten lucky early on in the game. It's also completely fair because every player, once they reach 10 victory points or more, will have the same policeman waiting to stop them in action. So it's a really great feature to hit Cit Hustle. Play proceeds around the table with each player taking 2 actions on their turn until a player reaches 15 victory points. At that point, all of the players get to finish one last turn so that everybody has an equal number of turns. and whoever has the most victory points will be declared the winner at that point. In the case of a tie, the player with the fewest amount of whack clients will be the winner because their clients will be of a higher value. All right, well, thanks for watching our tutorial video for Hit City Hustle. We hope that you enjoyed it, and you'll keep following us on our website, StatusEffectGamesLLC.com. Keep watch for our upcoming Kickstarter, which we hope to get up soon, and sign up for our mailing list at our website to receive updates on more art, more videos, and anything happening with our game. So thanks for checking us out. I'm Chris.
I'm Dave.
And thanks for watching.